In Kupyansk direction, Ukrainian troops are currently on the blink of encirclement. Just 2 days ago, it was trending across all social media platforms that Russia has encircled Ukrainian troops in Pokrovsk, which Zelensky himself confirmed it. Well, the same situation is happening again in Kupyansk direction. Now, according to reports, there's heavy fighting and retreat has become impossible for Ukrainian troops in the city or in the direction of Kupyansk. The Russians are using the same strategy they used back in Bakhmut. They have created something known as kill zone. They used the same strategy back in Sumy. I hope you guys remember. So what this kill zone means is when they encircle Ukrainian troops, they leave a narrow road for them to retreat or to bring in logistics. Then they use these tactics to crash them or destroy their weapons. War is horrible. I've said it and I'll say it again that there are innocent people involved in this war, and it makes sense for the Ukrainian Armed Forces to just accept defeat now, because the longer this war keeps, the more Russia continues to advance. There is no a single battle in this war that the Ukrainians have won. Not a single battle. The Battle of Bakhmut, the Battle of Marinka, the Battle of Kherson, where? The Battle of Liman, the Battle of Love. Every battle the Russians has won against the Ukrainians. So it makes sense now for them to negotiate with them. So it is basically a meat-grinding strategy that the Russians are currently using. Remember, in the beginning of the war, or before the war started, back in 2022, when you listened to Vladimir Putin's speech, he spoke about demilitarization of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. So the Russians are more interested in destroying the Ukrainian Armed Forces. There is no way that Russia is going to accept Ukraine to have a powerful military, right? Whether this war ends through negotiation or not, the Russians will make sure that they destroy Ukrainian army completely, just exactly what they did in World War II against Germany. And this is the main reason why Putin chose war of attrition, because you cannot demilitarize a country with maneuver warfare. No. Russia could have chose to go into Ukraine and start throwing bombs, within some weeks they will come out and claim victory. But the point is, the army will still remain intact. So Putin's goal here is to destroy the army, right? You see, you may win against your enemy, but your enemy will still have a very powerful army. Now, for example, when Russia defeated the Nazis back in Second World War, the Nazis still had a lot of capabilities, a lot of weapons. When America defeated Japan, Japan was still armed. One of the first tasks of General McCarthy after America won against Japan was to disarm Japan, because Japan still had a lot of weapons, they still had a lot of capabilities. So General McCarthy's first goal was to disarm Japan. So if Putin had chose maneuver warfare, yes, they can go in through bombs in Kiev and other places, boom, and come out and claim victory. But the point is, Ukraine would have still had a lot of weapons in their possession. When you observe in recent days, we continue to see Russia capturing more and more territories. Yes, in 2022, 23, 24, they were capturing territories. But after the Alaska summit, when you observe closely, you can see that the Russians are advancing very, very fast. I've spoken about it in my previous video, so I'm not going to talk much about it. But there are a couple of reasons for that. One, manpower. Ukrainian army currently lack manpower. The men to fight on the front line has become a major problem for them. That is why in recent days we continue to see Ukrainian military going around capturing people on the street to go and fight on the front lines. And this has turned out to be a disaster for them completely, because these are men who have no experience in war. They know nothing about the military. And poor training is also another reason. Finance has also become a major problem for the Ukrainian Armed Forces, because when you look at the amount of money that the Western, Europe was giving to Ukraine, it continued to reduce. I've spoken about it before on this platform, right? That is why they are talking about giving Russian frozen assets to the Ukrainians. But well, Belgium is saying that no, they are not going to give Russian frozen assets to the Ukrainians. And another major problem is change of government in America. Trump, unlike Biden, Trump has refused to give weapons to Ukraine free. He is asking Western Europeans to buy the weapon and then give it to Ukraine. But when you look at Western Europe's situation currently, their economies are struggling. You know, all this oil deal with the Russians, they decided to sanction Russia. Now we realize that they shot themselves in the foot because Russia has gotten an alternative, right, which is India and China, and they are selling their oil to them. They continue to move forward. But we can see that Western Europeans, for example, Germany, look at Germany economy, is struggling. Ever since I started creating these videos on YouTube here, this particular channel, I have not received even $1 from YouTube. The only thing that motivates me to create these videos on daily basis is because you guys love me a lot and I love you guys too. So I don't want to disappoint you guys. If we will succeed, it depends on you. That is why I continue to emphasize that hit on the like button is very, very important. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Part of Western Europe's success depend on Russian energy, but they hate to admit it, right? Take a country like Germany, for example. Let's talk a bit about history. Take Germany, for example. After First World War, Uncle Sam and the West made sure to destroy Germany's economy because they never wanted the Germans to rebuild back their army. One of the main reasons why the Nazis succeeded is because when the rest of the world turned their back at Germany, when the rest of the world didn't want to treat with, Germany, it was the Soviet Union, it was the Russians who came to the aid of, the Germans. It was Russia who was supplying Germany with food, who gave Germany a lot of resources to industrialize. And that is why the Nord Stream 2 was very, very important for Germany. And they decided to follow Uncle Sam. And today, look at the result. So my main point is, those who were the backbone of the Ukrainian army, which is Western Europe or NATO, today we can all see that these guys are backing out because they have their own problems to solve. You go to France today, Emmanuel Macron approval rating is 13%. Can you believe that his approval rating in the whole of France, just 13%? So these guys have their own problem to solve. Now, it is impossible for the West and Uncle Sam to give Ukraine the amount of weapons they gave them back in 2022, 2023. It's quite obvious because the West don't even have these weapons in the first place, neither to give it to Ukraine. Quite remember in the beginning of the war, these guys were not even hiding it. They were trying to use Ukraine, right, to exhaust Russia. But the opposite rather happened. Russia has actually used the Ukrainians to weaken EU. So the opposite happened clearly. So in the process of destroying Russia has made Russia more powerful. Today we continue seeing Russia launching missiles that the West and Uncle Sam don't even have. Today we can see that Russia is outproducing NATO completely. Today we can see that Russia has outgunned the Ukrainians completely on the battlefield. I have said this before and I'll say it again. Remember, I told you guys that if the West today should give every weapon they have on earth here to the Ukrainians, it is not going to change anything on the battlefield because the Russians outproduce NATO completely. They outproduce the West completely. It's getting very late here, guys, so I have no option than to end the video here. Let me use this opportunity to thank you guys once again. If you watch the video till the very end, you know how we do it. Type Timo360 in the comment section. Love you guys. Shalom. See you in the next episode.